something?
By the way, you look like a LL Cool J right now.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Vertical Church Podcast. Thank you for joining us online. Thank you if you're listening to the app, thank you for doing that as well. This is Season 2, Episode 1, so this is our first time.
Are we already in Season 2?
Yeah, we did a whole year, man, and some change.
Oh, I forgot about that year.
Yeah.
Trying to forget about that first year.
I think a lot of people have tried to forget about
No
that year.
No doubt.
So we're in March. We kind of blinked in January and February. We're gone.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So out of January, just for you though, talking like through the revival speakers and the fasting and stuff, what were your like big takeaways from?
Big takeaways. For me, it was just the breakthrough that I got out of that time. First of all, just to have an opportunity to not have to prepare messages and to be able to sit and to absorb and just let preaching be poured into us.
Yeah.
Is a time of refreshing. And so that just opened us up, I think, to hear from God and to let God do his thing in us. So for me, that was a big time. And I needed it after 2020. Kind of came limping into the first of the year. And it was good. God just answered prayers. And, one of my prayers is just fresh vision for our church. This was getting ready to celebrate our 10th year. So, what's the next 10 years look like? And just reconnecting and reconnecting in worship with God, because I had gotten to the working mode and just kind of survival rather than worshiping. So just a rekindled freshness with worship and just allowing, just being able to let God speak to us through our services.
What was out of January? What was your biggest missed opportunity, you think?
Missed opportunity regarding what?
Just like hope this would have happened, didn't happen, or in retrospect, I wish we would have done this. Anything like that?
Well, I think we missed some opportunities in 2020, just ministry opportunities, and I would say that was hindsight, obviously, because when you're in the midst of a crisis situation, it's almost like you resort to a survival mode. And I think we, as a church, missed some opportunities. But the other part of that, as I was thinking back, when it first hit, the coronavirus first hit, we were like, it really hadn't hit our area yet. Mm-mm. And so everybody was like, okay, what do we do? I mean, there really isn't any ministry to do right now because it hasn't hit our area. And it's like we kind of fell into that. And we did some stuff, but I think we could have been a little more proactive with that. But, for me, it was like survival. You just kind of, can I get to tomorrow and get through this? And will this end tomorrow? Can it just go away?
Well, and I am sure you're aware, but next week is the 1 year anniversary.
Very, very well aware. Yes. So, tried to forget that, but thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, it's next week. So Family Matters Week 2 is that week.
Yes. But looking forward to the Family Matters series. I think it's going to be March is going to be awesome. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for our kids. We're just doing a family focus with a kids service at all of our locations, and the decorations, by the way.
Y'all can't see it in here.
You can't see it, and we're not going to show you. But I'm telling you right now, parents, you want to be here with your kids. It's going to be awesome. Our folks are doing a great job getting our environments ready. Want it to be very kid-friendly, so if you come to worship with the big adults, you're going to go, what is all this? But that's getting ready for our kids. And so we're making big over our kids. They have suffered greatly, and we want to do something really special for them. So it's going to be good, and I'm really excited about what I'm seeing. So.
Well, it's just like, looking around the room right now, there's like a periodic table over here.
Yes.
We've got a lab behind Donnie. There's like giant atoms on the stage. There's a skeleton over there.
Looks like a science experiment's getting ready to take place there in front of the stage. We got atoms made out of hula hoops and balloons, which is really neat. But so it's going to be cool. I'm excited. I'd rather come to the kids stuff than the adult stuff, to be honest.
And yeah. Some of the adult messages are going to be tough too. So that's.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be good. And in fact, want to encourage our parents. First of all, if you've got kids, to come with of course, you wouldn't be a parent if you didn't have kids, but to come.
That's how it works, folks.
Come to the kids' service with your children. It's going to be an opportunity for you to engage with them as we engage with God. And what I've found out, we take for granted that we do this in our families. Like, sometimes I'm even guilty of this. Like we talk about God when we're in church, but we don't talk about God and what He's doing in our life outside of church. And so what I hope that's going to come out of this time with our kids' stuff is that our parents are going to be more engaging with their kids, having God conversations, talking about what God is doing in our lives and bringing those things out. And I think this is a good catalyst for that. So I'm excited about how God's going to use that. So with all that said, parents, come with your kids. This is for you just as much as it's for them. And you may be saying, well, I don't want to miss the family matters part that regarding, marriage and the things that we're going to be talking about. You can watch it online. We're going to be recording that service, and so you can watch that on our YouTube channel. You can watch that through our Vertical app. You can catch that up later, but please be here with your kids because it's going to be awesome.
And then for that's for Lumberton, but Bladen and Pembroke you won't miss.
Yeah, Bladen and Pembroke are going to be doing theirs in the evening, so you can come to adult worship at the regular times in the morning there, and then
the decorations might throw you off.
The decorations will still be up. Yeah, so be ready for that.
So you pushed and for folks that don't know that you are the big hammer on the anvil for doing the kids thing.
Yeah, I was just praying through that, and I knew it's just different not having kids in the building, period, at all of our locations. I mean, we have a few people that will bring their kids, but it's just a different vibe on Sunday when you don't have kids and families and you don't have the kids area. And you walk by the kids area on your way to the bathroom and you go, man, this just doesn't seem right. And so
it feels like an apocalypse in the kids area.
It really does. It's like a rapture and all the kids are taken away. But so God just laid on my heart, can we do something special? And I remember back to a time, and probably one of the best vacation Bible schools ever is when I was in college at South Hills Baptist Church. It's Karen's church that she came out of. It's where I met Karen, as a matter of fact. But Pastor Tony Vicinda, he was big on Vacation Bible School. I mean, they went all out, changed the auditorium into a complete just kids environment. It was fun. They had prizes and stuff on the stage. It looked like a kids game show. It was very engaging, and man, that had a lasting impression upon me. And so when I became a pastor and we did Vacation Bible School at Oakton, man, I tried to create those kind of similar vibes that I saw modeled for me by Pastor Tony because it was fun. He was gay. He loved Vacation Bible School, I think, more than the kids did. And they went all
You kind of have to if you're going to be the ones to put it on.
Absolutely, man. And God's Word should be fun, and it should be exciting for our kids because it's not boring, drab stories. These are life-changing stories, and they're filled with life. So let's have life, right? Let's do life. Let's have some fun and make it engaging. And so, man, that's always impressed me. And so that was kind of the vision I had, and this is coming out just very much like that.
Well, I know because when in our staff dynamics, we all have our different personalities, and I know some things I'm like, oh, we can 100% do this, and then other times I'm like, no, we can't do this.
Right.
And I was the curmudgeon in a lot of
which is interesting because you're usually the guy who has the fun and engaging type of creative stuff that you come up with. So,
but I was very curmudgeon-y in terms of doing our kids thing, but honestly, it was they're not back in school yet, and they're not doing this, and I was all these thoughts were, what. Plus, honestly, I think it was God timing for us to push it back a month anyway.
Right.
Just with everything going on.
Right.
But I do think it's ironic, but also I totally think that's a God, as Elizabeth said in one of our staff meetings earlier, and a God wink of we planned when this was going to happen before the schools announced when they were going back, and it just
then they come back about the same time we're doing this.
So they're the first Sunday after they go back is the first Sunday, and this will be
because originally we were planning this for February, and then just some things happening going on with Hector and Danielle, and we just felt like the timing was just not right. And we felt like we might be trying to force it a little bit. And so when he shared with me, hey, we might want to just pull back. And so I said, let's do that. And it's God. I mean, we didn't even know that was what the public schools was going to do with their schedule. So
that's another thing too, is because our V Kids ministry hasn't functioned in a year.
Right.
In-house, getting volunteers and stuff to do it. And
Right.
I think one of the hardest things for all of this season has been the fact that seeing teams that were so on it every week.
Yes.
Just
be in a, what do we do?
Yeah. And I was like, I honestly was like, we're not going to have the people to be able to put this together. Like, but,
Were you blown away by the first meeting?
Gosh, yes.
Yeah, I was very encouraged by that.
One of the things that we often say, like to each other as staff is like, don't say no for people.
Right.
And I think a lot of our staff was saying no for everybody before we got there. But our first volunteer interest meeting for it, I mean, like, we had a squad of people in here, and then
good representation across all our locations.
Yeah, and it's like to actually see people from all 3 locations in the house was like just impressive. But then, like, all I knew was to kickstart the conversation, and then like before we even done, like all the locations were like, all right, let's have other meetings, and I'm like, oh, look at y'all go.
Yeah.
And then
that's kind of what our people do. Sometimes we just need to give them an opportunity to do that. But they usually come together, and I'm blessed by our volunteers. We have really good volunteers at all of our locations.
Well, that's one of the things I'm really excited about is the fact that I'm not doing this, and not that I don't want to do the work,
right.
But like
you were prepared to if you had to.
I was prepared, like, because whenever we talk about like if we're ever going to do something, we have to have someone to champion it.
Yes.
Let's say I will put my flag on this hill, and like when we announced the kids thing, which was one of the reasons why we were pushing it back, was like, if we don't have the volunteers, it's going to be me with a tambourine tapped to my foot and like my guitar trying to do the whole thing.
In a lab coat.
In a lab coat. And I was like, I might have to do all this, and that was what was in the back of my mind. But like, our volunteers have done such a great job.
They have taken it and run with it.
And I'm going to tell you this, whatever location you're at, your representation of this is going to be way better than if your pastors just did it.
Absolutely.
Because looking around at the decorations,
I would have never.
I
wouldn't even know where to start, how to create that. I mean, I have an idea. I want it to be fun. I want it to be colorful. I want it to be engaging. But I don't know how to take the raw materials and get it to that.
Like, I would have put some posters up.
Yeah, put a few posters up, maybe a little table with a lab experiment.
And then, like, we actually have some, like, I know more about what's happening in Lumberton because it's my location, but like, I know we've got actual teachers doing science experiments.
Yes,
and like cool. Just seeing how much further they're taking it. And at the end of the day, like, let's say we go through the next 4 Sundays in March. What do you want parents to have taken away from this, and what do you want kids to have taken away from this?
Well, for kids, I want them to, as we always say in V-Kids, have fun and learn something about Jesus, right? So if we accomplish those 2 goals with the kids, we consider that a home run. With the parents, my desire and hope is that we will create an environment that for our parents, and we'll show them how they can engage with their kids outside of church. Because as we have often said, the discipleship of our kids is not on the church. It really is on the parents. And we've had this burden, and we've had these conversations, how do we engage our parents? And sometimes it's just showing parents how to do that, showing them that they can do it. And then we have some parents that are doing it, but we understand that we can't just assume that everybody does that or knows how to do that. And so my prayer is that our parents come out of this with just a newfound, like, hey, I can do this not just on Sunday, during March, but I can do this throughout their life as I'm training them up in other things, as I'm teaching them, how to clean their room and how to be a good student and how to be a good citizen and how to drive a car and how to plan for life. I mean, I can give them the most important thing, which is Jesus, and how to have a relationship with him.
Well, I think that's one of the things that just really hit me even when you're just talking of, as parents, we're discipling our children every day. It's just a question
one way or the other.
It's just a question of how much of the gospel we're putting into it.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And we have to be intentional with that because it doesn't just happen. I mean, it's just like general conversations with people that we have outside of church that we work with or friends. I mean, those gospel conversations, we have to be intentional with those conversations because they don't just naturally happen. Sometimes God will put it on somebody's heart. Maybe God's drawing them, and it's like God smacking us in the head, say, hey, why don't you talk to this person about Jesus right now? They're hurting. They're sharing something deep with you. It's a great launch pad to talk to them about Jesus. But oftentimes we're talking about sports or the weather or, life in general, but not talking about the things that matter.
How about for our parents? We know our kids' ministry is going to look dope. And by the way, if this is just the only time you hear this, our Lumberton Kids event is going to be at 11:15. So if you're coming to Lumberton for actual in-house worship without children, you want to come to 9:15. It's 11:15 all 4 Sundays in March in Lumberton. Bladen is going to be at 5 p.m.
Yep.
For their kids' service, and Pembroke is going to be at 6 p.m.
That's correct.
And so if you want to be a part of that, awesome. But let's talk about what we're planning for, not just the parents, but for the family matters.
So the family matters is, of course, we're playing on the noun and the verb of matters. Like we're talking about matters that impact our family, but we're also talking about the fact that family does matter. It makes a difference. And so each week we're going to hit a topic. Week 1, we're going to learn about the principles and the purpose of marriage. Why is it that God gave us marriage? How is our relationship with our spouse making them more like Jesus, which is a revolutionary thought. Because a lot of times when it comes to our marriages, and I've been guilty of this, I know you have, is like, all right, what is my spouse doing for me? Like, what am I getting out of my relationship? How are they making me happy?
My needs aren't being met.
My needs aren't getting met, or, And so this turns this on its head because we're going to look at Ephesians 5, and in that passage we're going to see that, really the purpose behind marriage is how are we loving and caring for our spouse in a way that helps them be more like Jesus, which is a whole nother way of thinking. So that's week 1. Week 2, we're going to hit singleness because here's the deal. And of course, this is kind of funny if you think about it. First of all, we've all been single at some point in time in our life, whether we're married now or we're not. I mean, we all have a period of singleness. But the other reality of that is when we get to eternity, there is no marriage and marrying and giving in marriage. We're going to be single for eternity. And so about to kind of get used to that, right?
It's the most depressing. I get why it's good, but you just tell somebody, hey, by the way, you're going to be single for eternity. That's just like womp womp.
But doesn't that say something, though, about what we have put priorities in?
Absolutely.
Right? And we're going to talk about singleness and God's design for singleness, which I believe is to prepare our heart for a deeper relationship with Him, whether one day you get married or not. I remember a period of my time, and of course I will share this when I preach, is I had a sabbatical from women for about a year. I went through a really bad breakup, and I had sworn off of relationships. I was like, this is too painful. This is, I don't want this, this is aggravating. I'm hurting. I want to get over this. But it was during that time that God drew me closer to Him. He got the distraction of the relationship out of the way because I was a toxic individual, and I was looking for sustenance. I was looking for my being. I was looking for my purpose in another human being. And I was placing expectations on them that was unfair. And I was a needy person because of just all that I had experienced growing up and just with my divorce of my parents and just unsettledness there. And so God used that year, and I didn't really understand that at the time. But looking back and now on the other side of it, I'm like, all right, that singleness was important because God did something deeper and prepared me for whatever was next.
I think I missed that lesson in my single period.
Well, and most people do. But God wants to use it as a blessing. For some people will be called to a life of singleness. But if you are called to that, God's going to equip you for that. God's going to use you in that. And so we're going to talk about the dynamics of that and how that plays out in people's lives, because I remember being single, and I remember that longing for relationship, and so we'll talk about that. Week 3 is going to be about messy families. I don't know that we talk about the messy part of families. Every one of us belong to a messy family, and I'm not just talking about how you keep your house. And some of you are messy because I've seen your house. But no, I'm just kidding. But I'm talking about messy relationships, the messy dynamics.
This is where we put the graphic of Donnie does not speak for the views of Vertical Church.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, that's only personal. But we're going to talk about the messiness in our families, the things like generational curses and drug addiction. We're talking about broken homes, just the things that we all have in our relationship. in our relationships, in our families, that make us a little jacked up, and we're all jacked up. And so how does God use that messiness, though? And so what does God want to do through that messiness? Because I believe God wants to use our messiness to use us to minister to messy people. So when all of the hurt and pain in my life and all the hurt and pain in your life and all the messiness that you've experienced, God wants to redeem that and use that to give hope to those who may find themselves in those very similar situations. So that's week 3. And then week 4, parenting with purpose. We're going to talk about the purpose, not just parenting to get some parents approach this as I'm just trying to survive. I'm trying to get my kids to adulthood without them dying. If I get them to 18 and I can send them out into the world and we don't kill each other and they don't die, then I've succeeded. Well, that's kind of a low view of parenting. And so the idea is here, how can we send our kids out into the world to make a difference and to be a blessing? My prayer has always been, and I know your prayer is for your kids, is that I want my kids to be a blessing to the world. I don't want them to be a curse. I don't want them to be a drain on society. I want their life to bring blessing and joy to the people who engage with them throughout life. So that'll be week 4. So that's going to be an action-packed 4 weeks, just hitting all the aspects of family.
It's going from let's talk about messy relationships to singing God of Wow with science props, on a Sunday, and it's
it's going to be awesome.
So is there anybody that should check out of the adult services if you say well, I'm single, I'm not married, I don't have kids? Are there Sundays they should check out of or not show up for? Or is this for?
I think this series, and we try to do this. We try to do this with our messages. It's something there for everybody every week. Now, I don't know that we always hit that target, but that is our goal. That is our desire, because I believe God's word is living, it's powerful. And your preparation for the next stage in life is where you are now. And so I think this applies to everybody. I mean, if you're single now and you have a desire to want to be married one day, you need to, I wish I'd have had the purpose and the principles, because it would have saved me so much more pain having to figure it out as you go through it than to maybe have a heads up before I'm going into it. And so if you ever desire to want to be married, hey, that marriage portion is going to be important even if you're single. If you're single, by the way, we've all been single at some point in time, or you know somebody who's single. Even if you're a married person, you're like, well, I'm married now, I don't have to worry about being single. Well, here's what I've found out about married people. All the married people want it. Sounds like they are trying to be single. But here's the thing. You might know somebody who's single. So how can you speak into that with vision? And if you are single, obviously it's going to minister to you and hit you where you are. And so, and then who of us doesn't have a messy family? Who of us doesn't come from a messy situation in some form or fashion? We all have that, so that applies. And then even if you're not even going to be a parent one day, I hope that we care for the children that are in our lives that we will have an opportunity to impact. Undefiled religion is what?
Care for widows and orphans.
Caring for widows and for orphans. And so that's a command on us as the church to be that ministry. So even if you don't have kids yourself, God wants to use you as an instrument to make a difference in the life of a young person, to disciple and to encourage. And so I think we're grafting this, and we try to always think of everybody who might be in the room, from the person who knows Jesus to the person who doesn't, the person who's single to the person who's not, the person who has kids to the person who doesn't. And I think it all will fit together.
What's coming after this? What's April look like?
April? Okay, so, Easter, good gracious, can you believe Easter's already
Easter's
here?
less than a month away.
Easter's already less than a month away. So in Easter, first Sunday.
Did you just have a mini panic attack?
Not really. I'm feeling good about Easter. Easter, we're going to do some couple things. The week of Easter, we're going to have a prayer gathering on Thursday before Easter at all of our locations. So just a prayer time of worship and prayer in preparation for Easter. Then on that Friday, we'll have the Good Friday service at all of our locations. We'll have some worship time there, and we're going to do the Lord's Supper together, have communion, and in preparation for Sunday, and our worship Sunday on Sunday. And so we'll have Easter on Sunday. So I want to encourage you to be planning for that, thinking about that. So that'll be Easter. And then following Easter, got a 5-week message series that we're going to call, I don't know what we're calling it yet, but it's based on a book that I'm reading by Andy Stanley about 5 questions on how to make better decisions in life. And I think this is going to be really good, especially if you're a college student or a graduating senior, getting ready to graduate from high school, or you're graduating from college and going into the real world, as we like to say. Although I think you're still in the real world as a college student. But anyway,
it's a nice deception to live in.
Yeah. And so this is going to be, I think, really helpful for that. In fact, here's the thing. If you are a college student or you are a young graduating high school student, we want to put this book in your hands. And so we're going to get these books, and we're going to give those out to our graduating seniors in high school, and then, of course, our college students, because I think these are 5 powerful questions, and we're going to look at biblical stories that connect with these 5 questions that you need to ask when you're trying to make a decision. And who of us doesn't need a little help making decisions? And so that's going to be our series coming up after Easter.
So you mentioned, what's the name of the book?
Better Decisions. Let's see. Put me on the spot. Better Decisions, Less Regrets, or something like that.
Okay, but it's Andy Stanley. Better.
Yeah. Yep.
What is there anything else you're reading right now that's like flexing on you?
I just finished Church of Irresistible Influence, and I'm getting ready to.
I've heard that phrase a lot lately.
Yeah, so that God used to kind of shape me, and just as the vision that I shared at our 10th anniversary birthday celebration, and I've been talking about that with the staff and just how we can be a church of irresistible influence. Which, we got to get outside the walls of our church, which is how we kind of started as Vertical Church. But like most churches, the gravitational pull becomes inward, and we get focused on our stuff and our thing, and we lose sight of our community. So we're working on trying to be better at that as a church.
I'm reading a book called Drop the Stones. And
yeah, the one you were telling me about.
Yeah, I was in tears by like page 4.
Wow.
And
that's a good book.
That's that quote I read you about the stuff in the prison, and that's like, I was 4 pages in, and it like got wrecked, and so I've only made it like 3 chapters because I'm like, I can't.
You have to come with some emotional.
I need some emotional bandwidth to be able to process this.
Gotcha.
But Drop the Stones is probably one of the most. And that's the thing. I can't speak for the whole book because I'm 3 chapters in, but the 3 chapters in that I am has like been better than most books I've read.
Yeah.
That's been a big influence. Is there anything you're listening to or watching that's really impacting you, like extra biblically, like beyond just the Bible?
Well, I've been doing a men's fraternity, just reconnecting with what it means to be biblical manhood, because I've noticed as men, we have a notorious problem of shirking our responsibility as spiritual leaders of our homes and of our lives, and so I've been doing that. It's been something on Right Now Media that I've been doing that's really just been encouraging to me, and just getting my warrior spirit back as a man, because 2020 kind of kicked me in the teeth, and I kind of got I want to sit in the corner and suck my thumb and cry like a little teenager when my mama told me to take out the trash. I don't want to, that kind of thing. So God's like, grow up, be a man. And so just biblical manhood, just pressing into that, and that's been enriching and encouraging. Yep.
I'm listening to an album called 7 by Judah. That's the song I played after our prayer time. But and you'll probably hear some of it in the lobby music
at some point in time.
And this upcoming month. But that's been musically, that's been a big, probably the most encouraging album spiritually.
Yes.
I've listened to it, but it's 7 by Judah. And my family's been watching WandaVision every Friday.
Okay.
And
is that good, by the way?
If you like, here's the thing. Yes, you need to have a basic working knowledge of Marvel movies.
Okay. So you just can't go into it cold without some Marvel history.
If you haven't watched the Marvel movies, it's going to be like, what's happening?
Gotcha.
Even if you have watched the Marvel movies, the first 3 episodes are what's happening.
Okay.
Because you're meant to be lost. But like, I've gotten some ridiculously good godly wisdom out of it, and just in terms of like the last couple episodes especially have been a lot on grief and loss.
Oh wow.
there was a quote in the last episode, and tomorrow's the season finale. Like, we were having dinner last night, and Danielle's like, "So are we getting up before I go to work to watch WandaVision?" Because like we don't like spoilers, and
don't want to catch those online.
Don't want to catch those online, and so we're probably getting up at like 6 a.m. to watch WandaVision before
That's
school.
Funny.
But there's this moment where it said, "What is grief if not love persevering?" And
wow.
like I was like, and like literally the whole internet went ooh all at once. And
cool.
but like the one thing that hit me with that is when Jesus is before the like in the garden before he's going to the cross, and he's like literally he's sweating blood, he's in anguish. He says, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of like breaking." But he prays like, "God, if you take this, take it." But the fact that he persevered with that, and I was like, that grief is love persevering, and love persevering is that grief. And I was just like, man, that just kind of wrecked me. So,
wow.
And Brendan and I have been reading through the Minor Prophets together, and the one thing we've really taken from that is the fact that the Minor Prophets really look like a broken record.
Yeah, they really do.
Of Israel's terrible. God calls them back. They're cool for 5 minutes,
and then they're off again.
And then they're off again. And it's just
sounds like humanity.
Yeah, it does. And it's like I think we've made it through 4 books of Minor Prophets, and it's like we've read this,
and it's like, but you're still not doing it. That's why God keeps saying it.
Yeah,
right.
It's like he put the 4 of the same version of. It's like that movie I Am Legend.
Yeah.
With Will Smith. There are 4 movies based on that same story.
Oh wow.
And you wouldn't know it.
Wow.
But. So we've been pulling that.
That's good.
Anything you want the people that listen to this, our congregation, the people on Facebook, anything like that, anything you want to encourage them with or to take away from just your voice today?
Well, as 2021 is off and running, and as we leave 2020 behind, my prayer is that be careful of a spirit of fear. At some point in time, we do need to get back to life, and I think this coronavirus has done this for all of us. It has created a spirit of fear that has just manifested itself in a bunch of different ways, and if we're not careful, we will continue to reside in that place. That's my only concern about all of this, and I get the safety stuff and all that.
Yeah, we do all the safety stuff.
Yeah, we do all the safety stuff, but don't let a spirit of fear paralyze your life. And I'm afraid of that happening with so many people, because it's happened with my life. And it's not just with the coronavirus stuff, but just fear in general of different things in my life where I found myself being paralyzed. Fear of decisions that we were making about the church, and just fear about ministry and just life. And fear, it's like a cancer. It'll just take over your life. And so to remember, though, what is the opposite of fear? It's faith. I mean, it's faith that we conquer that, and trusting our God. And we don't get stupid. We don't do stupid things. I mean, God's given us a brain. He's given us reason. He's given us intelligence. But be careful of fear gripping you. And I know that there are some out there that I think that has overwhelmed you. And so lean into God, trust His Word, trust Him by faith, and don't let that paralyze you. And that's just not about coronavirus and mask wearing and all that. It really is about just life in general. I've just seen that. I just think that's a tool that Satan has used in this time to just paralyze us.
Well, thanks for taking the time to listen. If you're listening on the app, thanks for taking the time to watch. If you're on Facebook, if you have questions or comments, we weren't reading them live today, right. But I'll answer those or respond in the comments. But thanks for taking time to listen, and look forward to seeing you soon.
God bless you guys, and y'all take care.